Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Pash On Podcast. Let's get started with your host, Brian Pash.
Hi, this is Brian Pash, and welcome to an exciting podcast interview. I am so excited to have a moment to sit down with Podium co-founder Dennis Steele and talking about how AI technology and the unification of messaging and communication on the Podium communication platform is going to be a game changer for dealers in 2024. Dennis, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. Thanks for having me on. Excited for the conversation today.
Let's just do a quick summary. Podium took the automotive industry by storm by helping to facilitate reviews, moved into the highest converting messaging platform based on SMS, not chat. And today we're talking about some new breakthroughs. But how long has Podium been in business? How many employees does the company have? And what industries are you focused on?
Great. Yeah. So we've been in business. It's hard to say because it's been so fast, but nearly a decade. So we're in our 10th year since my co-founder Eric and I started the business back in 2014. And it was in a small spare bedroom in Provo, Utah, that we started this business. And we saw this big gap for local business owners in technology and modern technology stack, and what they were utilizing to provide a customer experience. And we just knew there was a huge need there. So that was nearly 10 years ago. As you said, we started with a very basic tool of helping dealers get reviews online, which is still incredibly powerful. And you definitely need a tool in place to keep up these days with what we've been doing on the review side. But as you mentioned, this has been a long journey of building out more and more tools, and eventually now a pretty robust platform to help these dealers, provide an amazing customer experience. So yeah, nearly 10 years, we're nearly 900 employees based here in Utah, but have a lot of remote employees across the nation now. We have an office down in Australia as well, which is growing very quickly. So that's a little bit about Podium.
Well, I am also excited to be on this call today because we had a chance to sit down at Digital Dealer in Vegas last week. I had an opportunity to hear your strategy for automotive and the fact that you're doubling down on all your previous efforts in automotive to provide really breakthrough in mature, fully tested AI to do things that no one thought was possible, and that includes messaging and phones. Let's talk about the foundation first. Everyone's talking about AI. I'm sure someone's going to be selling AI toilet paper in the supermarket soon, but it is truly a buzzword that is hard to evaluate. The Podium story, though, has been one that has been linked to large language models, AI, for many years. Tell me where your company is sitting in your perspective on AI, and why do you think dealers need to truly leverage AI to create a better customer experience and lower operating costs?
Yeah, AI is here, and now is the time to kind of implement it as a business owner. And we've been watching it for a really long time. As you mentioned, we started in the automotive industry. It's kind of near and dear to my co-founder and I's heart. My co-founder's dad owned a service center, and he worked there growing up, which was part of the inspiration for starting the company. And dealerships were some of the first businesses that we started selling to almost a decade ago. So we've been in the auto industry for a really long time. That being said, we do now work with 80,000 businesses across 121 different industries. There is an advantage to that when you're talking about a communication platform that is designed to help retailers convert leads, because that experience has gone through many transformations over the years, especially with COVID and kind of the acceleration of a digital experience. But we are able to take best practices across many different industries from a retail perspective, and also hone that to our deep knowledge within the automotive space to create this ideal customer experience that converts at a really high level and provides kind of that ideal customer journey. So when you look at AI, as you mentioned, we've been working with and looking at AI for a very long time. We've had a long time partnership with OpenAI. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman has been a longtime advisor to us. He was part of an accelerator program as when we were just a small startup going to an accelerator program in the Bay Area. Sam Altman was there advising us as part of that program. So we've had a close relationship there. We've watched AI over the years, and many people have seen we are at this advent of being able to finally embrace AI to help us in many aspects of interacting with our customers. It's finally there. And we had a really high bar because consumers have a high bar. And so as we were looking at implementing bots into the platform and different things, it never really met that standard that we knew even as personally as a consumer that we would enjoy and interacting with. But it is to that level now that we've finally crossed that threshold. It's getting better, and we are really close to it. And it is changing about at a cycle of about every 2 weeks, something new comes out with AI. And so it's really important to be on top of it, implementing the newest technologies surrounding AI and making sure that you're able to leverage AI to the highest point as a dealer and as a dealer owner. So one of the comparisons I like to make is comparing the technology to SMS texting almost a decade ago. When we looked at texting, just giving it to a dealer and helping a dealer text their customer about a decade ago was a pure differentiator in and of itself. They were texting, no one else was, right? And that was a differentiator. As time progressed, almost all platforms implement SMS as a channel. It took a while, but now everybody does it. And so it's not as much about having the SMS, it's how you utilize it. And it's important for us to use texting to establish a relationship as trust as early in the funnel as possible. That's our goal, and we feel like we do that better than anyone else. And so as we look at AI, it's very apparent that eventually these technologies will be available for everyone. It's great for early adopters. Go get AI into your experience and leverage it and leverage the cost savings that can come from it and the conversion that can come from it. I think you will be ahead and you'll have advantage for a while on that. But it's apparent that this will be available to everyone. And the differentiation, to continue with that differentiation, is not just adopting it, but how you implement it into your platform. And so that's how we look at AI with our strategy, is making sure that we're just not plugging in AI, but that we are plugging it into a much broader strategy around developing trust with our customers, leading to the ideal customer experience.
Dennis, one of the things I've learned about Podium is that you're extremely careful on how customers are being treated. You're extremely careful with the relationships you've dealt with in the industry and built with over 7,000 dealers using your platform. And the fact that you're in over 14 OEM programs talks about quality. What I'd like to announce for dealers today is a decision by Podium to really put their AI to the test. And it's a new product offering. I think dealers are going to love this because no matter how hard I coach dealers, or my brother Glenn trains dealers on lead handling and response, we're still chasing people, forcing them to fill out a lead form when we had the opportunity to engage them on the website. I've called it real-time retailing. We've called it serve, not chase. But now your Podium AI BDC is a communication tool on the dealer's website that a consumer can engage with, that Podium can proactively engage with, and it's completely handled by the AI to answer their questions with the sole purpose of getting them into the dealership for a test drive to answer their questions. This is really a vote of confidence to how stable now the platform is. Dealers are using it. What can you tell me from your early beta testers? What is making them so excited? Because managed chat, if you talk to any dealers, like, hey, sometimes I test it, they were good. Sometimes I test it, it's bad. And outsourcing chat has been a quality issue. And then insourcing chat has been a staffing issue. It looks like we finally have a solution that gives consistency, quality, follows the dealer's process. Tell me what dealers are saying about your new AI BDC platform.
Yeah, it's very, very exciting. Personally, I'm always trying to, play around with it and trick it, and it's very, very difficult. But when you're talking about the confines of a general prospect that has questions as they are doing their discovery process into buying a vehicle, it is extremely good. And I think that's the most exciting thing, is you can quickly demo it, start having a conversation with it as a prospect, and realize how quickly we can get the information to a prospect. And that is the name of the game. As when you look at leads, 53% of the time, the consumer is going to go with who engages with them first in a meaningful way.
That's true.
Those two things. First, you got to be first, right? You can't afford to have a prospect hit your website and not be the one to respond to them before they go somewhere else and get responded to by someone else. And it is so common, as you said, working with dealers and chasing down these leads and with a slow response time, because every minute, and I mean, in some cases, second that passes, you have a risk to losing that lead to the competition. And, in today's industry, automotive industry, and with the economy and everything, we've got to be really careful with how we handle every single lead and every second that passes by. And so first thing, the biggest advantage is AI gets to respond in less than a minute, and every single time. And that is huge, because you get to start that conversation first. Second is in a meaningful way. That's what's going to get you that conversion. And so as soon as we can start answering questions that prospect has in a meaningful way, is going to lead to higher conversion. And so that's what we focus on, is being fast and having high quality answers. And when you look at AI, you have the raw technology that actually powers these conversations. And then you have the guardrails and the guidance that you train the AI. And that the art of what we've developed, and what takes a lot of time and a lot of training, is the second part, the guidance of controlling what is an incredibly powerful technology within ChatGPT to create an experience that is like a human experience that you would deliver, right? So as many of us know, many of us have played with ChatGPT, you can go in there and quickly, it's hallucinating and you're down a rabbit hole, and, it's conversing with you, but it is on a totally different planet, it seems like.
That's right. It's off the reservation.
Exactly. And so it is so important to be able to put those guardrails and that guidance in place. It takes a lot of data and a lot of time. And the advantage that we have is, going back to the 80,000 customers that we serve and the 7,000 dealers, is we have millions and millions of conversations that have led to conversions within the auto space that we can reference and train the AI on. And that data is extremely powerful for us to have a very refined AI BDC experience. Because
and Dennis, one of the other things that we talked about briefly at the conference in Vegas was that dealers who have some unique sales process, unique features, unique services, those things can be inputted into the language modeling so that the appropriate answers can even be customized based on the financing, the test drives, the home delivery, or anything that could be asked during that communication session. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. So at a foundational level, we train the AI on general BDC best practices and retailing experience best practices that we've gathered across all of these millions of interactions that we've had with customers that have led to conversions. That's the foundational piece. Now, on top of that, as a dealership, you want to provide your very customized experience, all the information on your website, every single detail of your inventory that is piped into the AI, and then additional data, including potentially the tone that your dealerships uses, the type of the type of relationship that your salespeople develop with the prospects, so that there's continuity between the conversation with the AI and answering those initial questions, and a smooth transition into the experience that they expect from that initial reaction as they continue through your customer journey, as they come down for the test drive and meet your salespeople and go through that process. You want continuity. That's what's going to maintain trust throughout the customer experience. And so, it's really important to have those customized guidelines around every time we set up the AI.
There are two topics that we have to get to today. The role of Podium's communication platform with CDPs, and the exciting development of the Podium phone platform. Let's start with the CDPs. One of the realizations that dealers who are embracing CDPs are finding out that even though they have a unified customer record in their CDP, when they want to text out to a consumer, the CRM platforms, Vin Solutions, eLeads, DriveCentric, they do not want or currently block any ability to hop through their platform to send out a text. So dealer groups will need to be partnering with a competent messaging and communication platform. Now, if you're starting to see the pieces, Podium isn't in the business of building CDPs. They're in the business of forming great relationships and communication. So, Dennis, let me ask you, through an API, could a CDP initiate a task for communication, or could the reverse? Podium reads the API from the CDP to understand some of the customer background, previous cars purchased, previous service records, size of household. Do you see it as a bi-directional experience where communications can be handled on the inbound, and the Podium analysis of phone calls or the Podium analysis of texts can feed the CDP with richer profile data? What's your vision of serving the larger dealer groups who have CDP projects right now?
Yeah, great question. So as you mentioned, our mission is to provide this unmatched for a dealer, an unmatched communication experience for every single customer interaction. And so to be able to do that, this data sharing is extremely important, because we can't provide that level of experience without utilizing the right points of data. But we're also, because we're providing that experience, we also are able to collect an immense amount of really important data at a high rate, and are happy to share that back to these platforms to develop this customer experience. So yeah, our strategy isn't to necessarily be the CDP. We do collect a lot of data, and we can utilize that within the platform. But we do have a robust set of APIs to be able to trigger customer journey flows, workflows, and automations within Podium for these different customer experiences, and then share data back through write-back that we are collecting. So an example of this is by utilizing AI, we're able to collect this data at an even higher rate now. So of course you would have data like, when a message came in or when a phone call came in and this prospect had a conversation on this date. Those are foundational pieces of data that you just kind of collect by facilitating. AI is extremely powerful at consuming language and interpreting it as well. And so all of these conversations that we were having via text, and via phone call. We're able to have the AI look over that and interpret data points from those conversations and write them into the customer profile within Podium that can then be shared to the CDP. So an example would be you have a phone call through Podium phones with a prospect. You have a big conversation about them expressing an interest of what car, what color, what make, what year. And all these things are happening real time in just a phone conversation. Typically, you'd have to take notes or manually enter that data in. We're able to transcribe that call. AI looks over that call, takes those different data points, and in near real time is building a customer profile with notes about this prospect. And so by simply having the phone conversation, we're able to start building these data sets around the customer, and are happy to share that into the CDP or other platforms where the dealership can utilize it in the best way.
Dennis, this is a perfect lead into Podium phones because, as you mentioned, Podium not only serves the automotive industry, but serves many small, medium-sized businesses because you provided the breakthrough turnkey solutions for communication, commerce, reviews, and now bringing it all together in the phone system. And maybe a very, very large dealer group has some sophisticated phone system, but for many dealers, it would be a dream for them to see every inbound and outbound call transcribed with the text messages that they've had with the consumer right in line historically. So we're talking about a complete software in the cloud platform. You could provide the hardware, the dealer could use their own hardware, but the key is every communication, whether it's by phone or SMS, is in one place, unified based on that phone number. Am I describing the platform correctly, Dennis?
Yes, that's exactly right. One view to handle this communication. And that's very, very hard to accomplish for a dealer. As you know, the tech stacks can get very wide. And so we see in a lot of our flagship dealers that implement Podium in a really strong way is the consolidation of some of these communication tools, particularly within messaging and phone, we see to be the most powerful consolidation, to having a single view and having that context every time you talk to the customer. Because we're not only establishing trust with a prospective customer when they first text in, and we want to have, we want to be able to answer those questions. We're reestablishing that trust every step of the way. And we've all had that experience. I call up a dealership. Maybe I've interacted with them several times via text message, and maybe I've had several phone calls with them. And I call up and I have to go through my entire story all over again, especially if I'm trying to handle something that I'm maybe, that's urgent or that I may be emotional about with buying a car or servicing a car. Those are the moments that you want to have all the context in front of you to reestablish the trust with the customer that we're going to take care of you and we are your dealership, right? And so when you're able to combine the text conversations and the phone conversations into that single view, have all of the context up available to you, whether you're on your mobile device or at a computer, and with the assistance of AI to summarize things for you, because there's a lot of context there. So let's say you've had 3 phone calls in the past with this customer. AI is able to summarize that in a single block right in front of you. You can pick up the phone, have that context, reestablish trust with the customer, and keep them as a long-term loyal customer to your dealership. And that's really the power that we're seeing with consolidating these communication channels.
And one thing, Dennis, this conversation should be great news for some of the smaller individual stores, small groups, because oftentimes the sophisticated technology, like we're mentioning here, the AI BDC, the integration of texting and phone, the resolution of call sentiment, and the summary of calls normally could be 2 or 3 different pieces of software with higher costs, and being able to say, hey, I can collect reviews, I can communicate, I can do off hours BDC, appointments waiting for me in the morning, I can call, I can even feed this data into another data warehouse. This is great news. And I'm so excited to see these developments coming from Podium in the automotive sector. Just as you mentioned, you took the auto industry by storm 10 years ago. I think this is another one of those moments where the Podium name will start to be on the tip of dealers' tongues at the conversation of 20 groups because of here's a real practical, stable use of AI. Dennis, if a dealer wanted to get a demo of the AI BDC or the Podium phones, or just get an update on your overall communication platform, what's the best website for them to go to?
Podium.com. Yeah, Podium.com. We have a lot of resources there. We share a lot of use cases within the automotive industry. They're some of our best use cases that we share as an entire business are the ones within automotive. So we share a lot of those on the website, but we try to make it as easy as possible and practice what we preach as far as going to the website, making it easy for you to start getting some of your questions about Podium answered, and taking a look at the platform and how it can help you take your dealership to the next level. So yeah, Podium.com, of course. Also, for some of your loyal listeners, we'll be at Modern Retailing in a bit here with you. And so those going to that can have a conversation with us and see us there as well.
Yes, and I want to thank Podium for being a supporter of dealer education. We have 2 conferences each year that attract the top minds in automotive retail and technology. So the Modern Retail Conference is November 12th, 13th, and 14th in Palm Beach, and there's just a few dealer tickets left. So if you want to learn things that no one else is talking about, if you want to be connected with the top executives of companies that are serving dealers, the Modern Retailing Conference is the place to be. And then next year in June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th is the Digital Marketing Strategies Conference. We're back in Austin. We had a great time on our kickoff this year, moving out of Napa to Austin. And I am super glad that we found a great home for both conferences. If this is the first time you're listening to one of my podcasts, you should know that there are dozens of interviews with automotive leaders, disruptors, and technology founders that are trying to improve modern retail. And this year's Modern Retailing Conference's theme is elevating the customer experience. And the technology you heard today will absolutely elevate the customer experience. So what are you waiting for? Go to podium.com, get a demo scheduled of the complete Podium communication platform, because today, every dealer with rising operating costs needs to think a way of doing more and costing less, and the Podium AI suite will surely do that. Dennis, are you looking forward to some beautiful weather in November in Palm Beach at MRC?
Yeah, I am. It'll be exciting. We'll also have our head of automotive there. He'll be on a panel, Ross Tinkham. So he'll be a great session to go listen to. We'll talk more about this and AI. It's going to be a great event. And yeah, you can't beat the Florida weather in November.
That's for sure. Well, for everyone who listened in today, I appreciate your time, whether you're driving into work or just taking a few moments to learn and catch up on breakthrough technology. Thanks for trusting us with your day. And we look forward to spending time with you again on a future podcast interview. So have a great day.